there might be a little bit more concern for guys like TJ Watt in week 14 against the Ravens than might appear to the naked eye. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/all Steelers talk and subscribe to us anywhere you get your podcasts. And today, I'm going to give a little injury update on a guy that I'm a little bit more questionable than I believe many are, and that's TJ Watt. The Steelers have a number of injuries right now heading into the final day of practice where they will release their last injury report for the Ravens game. Chances are Lamar Jackson's not playing, which is huge for the Steelers, but on their end, there's one name that stands out that concerns me a little bit that I don't know if we're talking about enough. I think we're just kind of blowing it over, as maybe we should, as history tells us to. And I want to talk about it. Right now, TJ Watt is dealing with a rib injury. This is week 2 of his injury, and he downgraded in practice. He went from a limited participant on Wednesday, to not practicing on Thursday. We don't know what's going to happen today, and then we don't know how the injury report's going to look. What I will say is that I'm a little concerned that this one might be a little bit more serious and might take a little bit of time, and we're just not talking about it because we don't expect it, or at least the general public doesn't expect it. But there's a couple of clues here that I think have told us that maybe TJ Watt is not going to play. For one, he was questionable last week, and that's never good. Even if, he did end up playing and it was no big deal, it kind of looked like a big deal. TJ Watt is not a guy that should ever be named questionable. It feels like he's a dude who he doesn't need to practice all week. He was a limited participant all week, which in my head is clearly enough to say he's good enough to play. They just held him back, but he was questionable, which means that there was some serious pain there and some serious discussion on whether or not he should play. Then he probably convinced them that he should, and the doctor said, okay, yeah, he's good to go. And then he went out there. If I had to guess, that's what happened on Sunday morning. This week, Mike Tomlin comes in and says that TJ Watt's really beat up after the Falcons game. That was the only injury report that the team got after the game, was that TJ Watt is really beat up. Comes in on Tuesday. TJ Watt is the only one that's mentioned again, kind of, in an instance where it does seem like he'll play. Things are on the up and up. We're feeling good. Less worry about TJ Watt than there was. But then he doesn't practice, and you got to wonder why and if there's some concern there. And on top of that, he was seen in the locker room on Monday walking around, and his exact words were, "I feel like shit." That's not good. I think that TJ Watt is pretty beat up, and I think that rib injuries are real. They suck. There's a lot going on there. It could be a variation of degrees of how bad somebody's hurt, and I think that it does take time to heal. That being said, I know that the Steelers have every single game on the line, and they need to win all of them in order to even try and make the playoffs. And I know that TJ Watt is going to do everything in his power to play. I have some concern, though. And I know that that's as far as it goes. I don't have any insight on whether or not this is a really serious injury or if he'll miss any time. Some of those guys you get reads for. I knew that Chris Boswell was going to miss nearly a month the second that he got hurt. I knew that Calvin Austin was headed for IR the second that he got hurt. These things. DeMarvin Leal was headed to surgery. He didn't even know it was going to happen. TJ Watt's a guy where secrets do not leave that building. Anytime you hear somebody who's got some insight, quote unquote insight on TJ Watt, they don't. They're lying. They're pulling anything they can out of their butts to try and make a story. I promise you. All I know is what I've seen. And I was lucky enough to catch him saying, I feel terrible. I feel like shit. Said that he was about to throw up. I don't know if that was because he was in pain or just wasn't feeling good, but those were the words that I saw come out of his mouth. And it has left me with concern all week. He's looked better every single day that I've been there. He's looked much better in the locker room. But him not practicing makes me worrisome. Him not practicing gives me a reason to come on here and express that worry to you guys. And I guess we'll just see what happens. But as of right now, I would not guarantee that TJ Watt plays against the Ravens on Sunday. I would just look at it as a big maybe. I would hope for the best. And I would understand that if there's any game to miss, I guess it's this one when you're playing a backup quarterback. And I get that Tyler Huntley is a good backup quarterback, but he's no Lamar Jackson. The Steelers play very well against Baltimore, especially at home. I don't know. It just feels like a game where you don't want to overlook the Ravens, but the Steelers have a lot of momentum. And maybe TJ Watt just like suits up, doesn't play a ton of reps. Suits up, you see a lot more Malik Reed than you'd like to see. I just, if anything, don't make bets on TJ Watt. Even if you say, hey, Noah is definitely overreacting here and there's no way TJ is going to miss this game. It's an AFC North champion, or it's an AFC North game. This is going to decide the future, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I would say the same thing. Just approach it with the side of caution. Approach it with the side of, okay, look it. I don't have a strong opinion that he's not going to play. I'm just giving you guys what I've seen and what I'm thinking. And I guess we'll do with it as we will. And we'll see what happens.